call the meeting to order,
Yes.
Mr. Repchek.
We're going to call the meeting to order. I'm the substitute chair.
You are.
I am. So we have to approve the minutes from last meeting,
Roll
correct?
call first.
Oh, roll call first.
Roll call first. Make sure you're here. Yep, you're good. Marty Basic is not here. Jim Capucci. Ryan Crater is not here. Tom Provins.
Here.
Andrew Renkley.
Here.
Kevin Repchek. Aaron Risden.
Yes.
Jason Ruggles is not here, and Elaine Vincent is not here.
Up.
She is here. Elaine,
Okay, sorry.
right on time.
Literally, your name was just called.
I'm here.
Yes, she's here. Yes, so now take it away.
Marty
So-
Basics online, ain't he?
Is he?
Raise his hand.
Oh, hi, Marty. He must have just joined with that link. Let me promote you, buddy, so you can talk.
Thanks for releasing me from prison there. I was so hopeless. I was like, I'm here, I swear.
I'm promoting you, so it's gonna log out, log in, and rejoin you there. All right. You should
Okay,
be
now I'm
permanently
good.
be able to talk. All right, good. Marty's
Thank
here.
you.
We're good.
Outstanding.
Awesome. Cool.
Very good.
All right, we're up, Kevin.
All right, so first order of business will be approval of the minutes from last meeting. Someone want to move?
Movement to.
Thanks, sir.
To approve. Second.
Second.
There was a slight edit that Aaron had pointed out to me that I had an extra width in there, so we'll take the extra width out.
I like it with the width.
You like the width? And then we'll edit from there. Which? I actually had family that owned a series of witches, but it's a chain down in Tennessee, at least Tennessee, at northern Alabama area. So like
Witch witches.
sandwich, it's a sandwich shop, Witch.
Cool.
Yeah, they own like 3 of them or something. So, you know, the
That
franchise.
explains the error.
Yes,
Liminal.
it was.
Is that what that?
He's so
You just
quick.
wanted to tell us that story.
Well,
He's so
it's
quick.
really, I would love to eat there, but they don't, with my gluten-free these days, I can't really, it's the,
Yeah.
harken back to the days when I could, sorry.
Isn't that then the way to maybe help, get a new tenant in the new garage? Is get someone to open one of those?
Witch. Hey, good thinking.
We don't have any in Pittsburgh, right? You got the pizza place to come to Beverly Road. I mean,
There's a guy with a connection.
if only we knew somebody.
You get the rice cake, you don't need the bread. You bring 2 rice cakes.
That's right.
Solving problems.
There you go.
Tasty problem, let me tell you, those rice cakes are delicious. Sorry, moving
I
on.
feel like so.
How you roll, right?
Exactly. I'm looking out for him.
Yeah. Very good. So I don't have.
We have a motion and a second.
So we're good?
Yep,
Minutes
we need
minutes
to-
are approved. Then do we do new business first, or do we do commissioner report?
Commissioner report.
Commissioner report.
Commissioner report, ta-da. Okay, hi, guys. So we have 2 new commissioners now. Margaret Izzo and Nick Petty have joined. So we've spent a lot of time for the last month and a half reviewing things we've already done, where we are on stuff, all that good kind of thing. And at last night's discussion meeting, which is where all the action happens, if you're ever curious, you go to the discussion meeting. Regular meetings are all scripted, forget it, that's all.
Right.
Discussion meeting is where the action is. So we talked about the active transportation plan. And active transportation is essentially any kind of way you get somewhere that does not involve motors. So it's walking, it's biking, it's riding on a scooter, it's that kind of thing. And the plan is being put together to try to network our roads and any other assets we have that can get people from here to there in alternative ways, because people are using alternative ways. So I learned a valuable lesson when I was in the disability community that actually I have a point to this, that I have a disabled child who's now an adult. And it was always, the disabled person this, the disabled person that. The only thing that was disabled about my kid was the environment. My kid used a wheelchair, and if the environment wasn't designed right, they couldn't get into it. So it's sort of a flip it on your ear, different way to think about it. And I bring it up because when you think about active transportation, one of the biggest things right now, the biggest complaints are kids on e-bikes, kids on e-scooters, kids doing this, kids doing that. Well, the way kids are moving is changing, and our infrastructure wasn't built for that. So the active transportation plan is to take a look at what we have to do to our infrastructure to try to accommodate as much as we can people that have moved forward or moved in a different way for transportation, not forward, because Kevin and I have that handled in old age. But it's a different way to look at it, but one I think that's valuable is how do we adjust the infrastructure. We also talked about pedestrian safety and what we have done so far, because it's very expensive. And I can't even underscore that enough, can I? It's hugely expensive to put in speed bumps and narrow roads and do this and do that. So we went through all of that so the new commissioners could have a feel for what has been accomplished, and so the audience in general could have a feel for what has been accomplished. Last but not least, the municipality is looking to update our zoning code. Hugely, hugely important. Ours hasn't been updated, I think it's 20 years. And of course, the way things are built and the way people use things have changed. We'll be looking at things like accessory dwelling units, densifying our central core, and that just is that's architecture speak for putting in more units so more people can live in the central core. So we've had an initial meeting with our consultant on that where we talked about zoning for 2 hours. I was excited. So were the architects in the room, everybody else was asleep. But that's, it's important stuff. So questions, thoughts, concerns? You're all totally delighted to live in Mount Lebanon and no one has a problem, right?
I love the attitude about the e-bikes and moving forward in a different way.
Good, yeah. I mean, it's a different way to think about
Even though,
it.
even though I think it's an oxymoron, pedestrian safety and teenagers on e-bikes.
Oh, I know it, I know.
You gotta give up one for the
Yeah.
other.
I know, yeah. Well, you can't have them sharing necessarily the
Same
same
space,
space, is
yeah.
really
That's why,
what it
and
comes
we're
down
already
to.
narrow enough, there's not
Yeah.
enough space on the roads for safety already, so.
Yeah.
There's not enough space for the cars.
That's what I mean, so that's where it comes to, like I said,
It's tough.
philosophically, we all agree, but
Yeah.
unless we get like a 4-foot buffer on each road all of a sudden.
It's a difficult problem. I mean, the reality is it's difficult, it's expensive, and there's probably no perfect cure for it. But,
Well, we already know Kevin's not giving up his front yard.
Or his e-bike.
no, that's what I
Well, I'm
hear.
telling you, it wasn't, they were throwing leaves that I'd put on the curb back in my yard. I live right by the
Shame
walkway
of
to the
it.
school, and it was like a second grader. And,
Oh,
and I just said, dude.
Just don't hit it with an open hand.
Get
No, I
off my
didn't.
lawn.
I was there with the rake, I'm like, dude. And I stopped myself and I said, I just had to get off my lawn moment.
yeah.
And that was like 5 years ago, so imagine what it would be like.
I know.
I mean, zoning's a huge deal too, right?
Yes, it
I
is a
mean,
huge zone. It
Yeah.
is a huge deal. It's very important. And it's hard. It's scary because most people can't really visualize what it means when we say we're gonna densify the central core. I had people calling me up after we talked about the comprehensive plan, and we had that in the comprehensive plan, saying, you're gonna put an apartment building next to my single-family dwelling on Jefferson Drive. And I'm like, no, I don't know where you got that, but, we have zoned areas, and we're not talking about single-family residences putting in apartment buildings right next to them. Meanwhile, we have a lot of apartment buildings in Mount Lebanon. If you ever looked around, we have a lot.
More people realize, yeah.
Yeah, way more than people
They realize
realize.
through the school district and how much diversity there is and such. right?
Yes, that's right. There's a huge amount of diversity. And that's one of the things we were talking about was who were our partners in this. Because someone made a comment in the meeting, well, the school district, who really cares? And I said, well, they might care if we bring in a lot more people because our schools are pretty full. So everything has that, and you guys know this, it has that, kind of wave.
Trickle-down effect.
Yeah,
It's all interconnected, right? The zoning.
it's all
about it,
interconnected.
Safety and all, it's all,
But I'm
That's
sure
why it takes a while.
I'm sure you have a lot of property owners, if you let them build up, they'll be happy to.
yes, no, I know, yes.
So.
Yes, we do have height restrictions, you're absolutely
So if you allow
correct.
that to happen to private lot, they'll be more than
Right.
happy.
But that was a big issue downtown when I was working on zoning downtown. And it was really about view corridors. So how did you protect people's view of the riverfronts and not block them so that everything is front-loaded on the riverfronts.
Right.
Because then everything else behind it is just not worth all that much. So how can you protect your property values and build back up the other way? I mean, you have to really, I think, be very thoughtful about how it's done.
Well, that's right, when all the steel mills disappeared, right? All
Yeah,
of a sudden, that's
Yes.
prime land,
that's right.
right?
And we built a jail on it, because, there was forward
Because that was a good
thinking.
idea, yeah.
Best view in the
It
city.
makes neat
You
views.
can't see out the windows,
Yeah.
they're
Views,
so
too.
high.
Wasted, yeah, best view in the city.
Yeah.
Totally wasted.
Yeah. All right, I'll shut up so you
Great.
can get going.
That's interesting.
Yep, anytime, you can always call me and ask me questions, I'm around.
So the next would be.
My report,
Yes.
yeah. So we just closed the books, so we're closed for the 2025 season. So it's always interesting when you're working 26 all the way through December, and then now I have to, so we're in 26 now, looking at 25. So again, for all these things that they want to do, how do we pay for it? We had another good year. We had a very positive year. We were almost $1 million ahead in EIT. We were about 200,000 ahead in real estate transfer tax, so that's starting to bounce back. And all the goods were coming back our way. So it's a nice problem to have. We always budget conservatively, so that those numbers are coming back to pay in spades for us. So it should set us up for a nice capital plan we have here in the next couple of years coming, between all the projects we want to do, between the 2026 bond issue and any other future capital that we would like to do. So we should be in prime position to carry that capacity.
One more thing, we received an $875,000 grant from Krista Luzio's office for upgrades to the rec center for accessible improvements.
Still with no project in design, so. it's
No,
just-
yeah, project's not in design yet. We did
It's a good problem to have, that they know Mount Lebanon will most likely do it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still
There are other
between
communities that can apply that just won't have.
options, right? Have we even picked an option yet?
No.
No, we have not picked an option. We had 3 options presented by the architect and landscape architect for the park and the rec center. And it seemed as if commission was leaning towards the middle option, because, we always lean that way,
Go with C.
which was around $10 million. And that's it's so preliminary, it's almost not worth discussing that as a estimate, because construction costs change so much, so.
And why, that's a question I have for you. Why slow roll the option when we all know construction costs increase? That seems to be very prevalent. We'll have an idea come to play, and 5 years later, we'll agree on something, knowing that all raw materials, construction, labor, all costs go up. When you hear about it later, you're like, wow, we all kind of leaned towards C 5 years ago. Why don't we speed that process up? What makes that process so,
Well, I mean, to be able to afford a rec center, we would have to float a bond issue.
oh, no, we're all aware of that.
Yeah,
We know
so
that we're
we have
not.
to wait to make sure that we have the ability to do that.
Yeah, but from that standpoint, we have those numbers, and our ratios are really good in Mount Lebanon. It's not,
Sure.
because if we float that same bond in 5 years, our ratios are the same and the costs are higher.
Yeah.
And we can't guarantee lending's gonna be less. We don't know what interest rates are gonna be 5 years from now, so. And I don't mean just that, it seems very common.
Right.
I know we're very we're very good fiduciaries with the money, but I feel like sometimes we slow roll these projects and it costs us more by taking so long to come to an answer.
So I suspect getting an agreement on all the constituents is difficult. It takes time.
Always?
And so that is it. It's not like the money's in the bank already, right?
Well, no, but floating a
So-
bond's not difficult to do.
No, it's not, but it also takes some time. But you want to make sure that you got agreements from enough people and parties, and
Because you may want to raise taxes.
you may have to, right?
And that's
So,
right.
Yeah, and so
Right.
Yeah, I get that, but that's with every issue. And if it costs us more money in the end, it's the same issue. If we're gonna spend,
It does, although the answer could be, we're not going to do it.
That's right.
but it wasn't doing it.
And I think to your point, I see what you're saying. So like, I'll give you a good example, is the Public Works facility.
Yeah.
Yep,
So that was a major overhaul to that facility to bring it up to snuff based on where we were. It was a long time coming, and they really started planning for it in 2014, and we floated in 2017. the plan took some time to get together, to make sure it was right, and I think almost 10 years later, I think it worked. We did what we needed to do. Yes, there was one more renovation that we didn't do, it was around 600,000 at the time, to your point, now it's about $1 million to do, right? To kind of both sides of the coin here, and that 2017 bond was floated by a tax increase. We did a 0.2 mil increase dedicated directly to that debt service. So to your, so yes, that one I think was relatively, we had a plan, everybody was in consensus, it needed to be done. Here, in this instance, I don't think there's a consensus it needs to be done. And I think that's where the rub is on this particular project. But I can say that we expedite things in Mount Lebanon when there is consensus much faster than other communities.
No, I agree there. I'm just curious with her, because as a voting member,
Yeah,
it feels like the consensus takes a lot longer
it does.
than other places. That's why I'm saying.
Yes
And
and no.
maybe for thoroughness, don't get me wrong, we do.
Yes and no, I mean, you could look at the field turf, would be a good example. We didn't float a bond for it, but that moved quickly
Right,
to do
Yeah.
Wildcat Middle.
yeah.
Yeah. But here we are,
Seymour
8,
Field.
10 years later, and we still don't put lights up on half the field.
Well,
Correct.
we have
That's
a-
coming.
But that's what I mean, it's coming, but that's what I mean. But it's gonna cost us a lot more than if we
Yeah,
did
it
it
is.
then, that kind of
Yeah, but we
stuff.
also have the neighborhood that, you know, is
Right.
really
They want
impacted
players
by
in
that.
and all that sort of stuff.
But on the other side of that, which is good, the technology in lighting has changed significantly in the past 10 years. So there's much more directional lighting down on the field and much less
Less
of
light
the
pollution.
light pollution, hugely different. So I don't know, you know, there's a yin and yang to everything, I think. I always tell my kids, no perfect solution to anything.
No, there isn't, but that's where I just was curious on the time on.
Yeah, and I mean, and from my past, you know, I've worked in 2 great communities, and, you know, I'll give you the Community Recreation Center at Upper St. Clair. I was there when it was built.
Yep.
The
Full
number
controversy.
one thing, as they were digging the hole, was we need to make this outdoor pool bigger. And still, 17 years later, it's still not bigger. Right, so those things happen and there's no, you know, and we do the best we can. But I think communities like St. Clair, like us, really do, when there is consensus, do move it forward quickly. We have the wherewithal to do it. and-
Public Works project, most people probably didn't care about.
No.
Interesting, right?
Right,
Right,
But-
yeah, yeah,
Parks,
yes, yeah.
90% can care about, right? I mean, so there is a different constituency you've got
Correct.
to deal with in those.
Correct.
Yeah.
Don't like it, right? No doubt, don't like it.
But one thing
Ultimately
that,
likes everything, that's.
No, I don't like the speed either,
Oh, yeah.
right? But the
one
reality
thing
is,
that I think we ought to be thinking about in the future, we can't build over the ice center. The footers aren't deep enough, it will not support like another story on top. The library, same way, wasn't dug deeply enough to support another, can't expand upwards like you would suggest. I think when we're thinking about major new projects, we should build so that we can add to the top of them. And that is more expensive.
of course, yeah.
Betting on the future of needing it, and that's just one commissioner's opinion. I don't have any idea what the others think.
right, and then the argument
Just
that comes is that's great, except I'll be dead when you put that onto it.
Exactly.
So why do I,
See,
right? So
yeah.
you get in all that sort of jazz, right? I mean,
You
the
know
school,
the problem.
build a new school was the same thing. How long did that take, right?
All right.
I don't have anything else.
Well, congrats on a good 25.
Oh, it's a team effort, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's,
Number 26.
Of course, now we have a new person that has to pick up the slack, so.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, she's still drinking
Higher
from
sugar.
the
Say that
fire,
was
giving her a
Karen's
lot.
legacy.
Yeah, how's that fire hose
Your
coming?
back's okay, your sugar's okay, Karen, at all?
Well, I'm keeping my head somewhat above water. I'm not completely underwater yet, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just yet. You're like just partially waterboard her. You let her kick, then you pull her up. Okay, I gotcha.
By Friday afternoon, he gives me a break. But you can breathe now.
We'll let you go home for the
Yeah.
weekend.
She keeps coming back though. mean,
I know.
I'm doing something
I know.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe the
It's
coffee's
been
good.
good, it's been good so far, right?
It's good. Little wins. She upgraded to the Nespresso.
Very good. So next item would then be the report on the meeting that we sat in on
Yeah.
regarding waste disposal. And both of you are here, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, I don't know,
Marty, now
Marty
you're
wants
here.
to start off, or I can give some comments.
Yeah, I can kick it off from what I remember and feel free to fill in. From the things that I remember that were of note to me was that they like the sheer number of trucks that they had was a lot more than I would anticipate. It was like having your set number of trucks and then plus one backup for each route, which was like, I don't know. I still have to go back and kind of do the math on those things, but it was that.
Double? Is that
Yes.
double the trucks?
Yes.
They had 6 trucks for Swissville.
Wow.
They have 3 routes and 3.
And then 3 backups.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely more there than I had expected. They don't have a or a dedicated sanitation crew. It's kind of one and the same as DPW, which I thought was kind of a promising thing. If we're able to kind of leverage the capacity that we have with DPW in the off season and like add some people to that team as well, like I think that could be beneficial in other areas as well. And then the other thing we talked about last time, having the ability to like clean off the trucks somewhere that's not the municipality, like not saying we should do this, but they clean their trucks just like in their yard. I'm not sure what it's called, the like municipal DPW yard. They didn't have like a special procedure for hazardous materials. Again, like not saying that's what we should do, but I do think it's interesting that like it wasn't a hard and fast need to do that. Um, Last thing that comes to mind is they utilize the waste management yard for dropping off waste. I'm not like on that team, so I'm not sure if that's like what we've been looking at already, but that's sort of a fixed cost that it's not really negotiable because waste management sets that. So,
It's their dump site, right? Is it you're referring
Yeah,
to?
they're using Monroeville.
yeah, exactly.
Monroeville, and I guess for recycling, they're using like Second Avenue, for Republic.
Yep. Yep. And that's kind of it on my end. But yeah, Aaron and Andrew, feel free to fill in wherever I missed.
I'll throw out a few more notes I took. So they're servicing Pitcairn, Chalfont, and Rankin Borough.
So they regionalized.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, yes. But even with those 3 additions, there's still about 8,000 households, so less than us.
Okay.
Each truck's doing about 1,000 homes a day. They have the 6 trucks that we talked about, which includes redundancy for each one.
So let me ask you about the trucks.
Yeah.
So if they're running the trucks, 3 routes, how frequently do they flip or need the extra trucks? Did that come up at all?
I mean, they said that while one's running, the other one's in maintenance,
It's just like,
essentially.
it's a breakdown truck, so like, okay, we can't not have a truck, if this truck breaks down here, the other truck just leaves immediately, we can't have downtime for
Yeah.
trash not being
Well, I'm
collected.
just, I mean, I would, because
I know
when
what
we
you're
talk,
saying, like,
when we
here's
talk
one
about
for
trucks, we talked
10,000.
about having routes, but having 1 or 2 extra trucks
Right.
Right,
to
yeah.
have complete duplication. I just wonder how often do they always need that extra truck?
If we've got more trucks, maybe we don't need double.
Right.
Maybe we could have a little less capacity, in reserve. He spoke very highly, though, of doing as much preventive maintenance, I think, as really you can.
I'm sure there's a lot of wear and tear on them, right? I have no doubt
Exactly,
about
yeah.
that.
And their fleet is a little different too, right? So they have 4 standard 25-yard trucks. One, I think, is an 11-yard truck, and then a pickup with a hopper on the back that does like the alleys.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so there's some variation in the fleet there.
Sure. And which we'll need as well,
Yeah.
which we would need as well.
Another thing I thought that was interesting is they're generally charging the other municipalities. I wrote down $225 per household, which is substantially lower, I
Yeah,
think, than what we're paying per household. We're in the 3s, I think.
yep.
So that was kind of interesting. Some of that sounded like it's kind of political, I would say, in that there's, on the part of their council, some desire to sort of do favors for the neighbors
Yeah, it seems
sometimes.
like it was very popular to try to get somebody, to team up with them or have them collect trash, and I think they mentioned that, Waste Management was charging $450 a household, and they're only charging $225, so
Right.
he was like, I'm trying to get them to charge
A little
more, but we
yeah.
don't, politically, they don't wanna.
Sure, and so they're offsetting that, because that's not covering their costs,
No.
right? There's no way.
Right.
No, 8,000 households.
Let's see.
Minimum volume.
They confirmed that, properly maintained trucks could easily get 10 years out of them.
Yeah.
So that was helpful.
They lease their fleet.
Right.
Yep, they lease.
Oh, they lease, okay.
They recommended a covered garage, which they do not have, but they said that would help prolong the life, cover some of the maintenance. Recommended a wash bay to be able to clean the trucks. Let's see. Talked about the facilities.
And did you mention where they park them? Like where they?
At their, they don't have a dedicated lot, so it's at their public works.
Just their
lot.
public, well, the other public work vehicles,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he had, they had like building covered storage for
Okay.
the trucks and having a dedicated,
Yeah.
spot to park these somewhere.
One thing that I thought was interesting, this is the last note I took, was he was talking about potentially separating paper from their recycling stream and selling that straight to a mill to help kind of optimize costs. We didn't talk about that at great length, but I made a note of that, thought that was interesting.
How's the leasing work?
Is that like a third collection though?
Sort of like a third stream, probably.
Right, it's a third stream, but how do you
Yeah.
collect it and separate it? Effectively, you gotta collect it separately.
Yeah,
So that's a third collection.
right.
Right.
Or you have like a central thing where we drop our glass kind of thing.
Yeah, put a dumpster somewhere and throw paper.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if those trucks have a separator. Because like, I think a part of the trucks, you can separate what you're collecting.
They may have separate
paper.
bins,
Right,
right, from that standpoint, they're not mechanically separate, but they may have
Right.
separate bins on the recycling.
yeah.
But to get people to take their paper to a central location.
Or maybe
would be a
rotate it,
challenge,
maybe make the paper every 2 weeks, since people don't have as much paper as they used to, instead of a weekly.
Particularly when the Post Gazette stops publishing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
And I think they were doing one guy truck, just cart, like tippers with a can. I don't think they were doing, Marty, do you remember if they were doing bulk collection or they were just doing one can per? I don't think
One
they-
can per house?
Or I think they were doing,
I wrote down that they had some cart tippers.
yeah,
What does that mean to you?
basically grabs it and dumps
Yeah.
it for you.
Automatic
Auto,
arm.
Yeah.
Auto arm.
I mean, because that's really where it's all gonna go, right? I mean, because isn't workers' comp one of the
Yeah,
biggest
that's
issues
one
for
of the
these?
biggest issues.
So, I mean, if we try to maintain it the old way for as long as we can, are we just increasing costs without really saving the inevitable?
Yeah, but the logistics,
Preventing
like he
the
brought up the logistics of Mount Lebanon and having everybody put up to the curb and
Oh,
how
I
tight everything
agree.
is.
I'm just wondering, it's gonna happen eventually anyway. So, are we battling a windmill?
Well, and waste management wouldn't not,
Negotiate.
negotiate.
Also, to your point, though, you made last meeting too, is that we don't have control to do it differently in different sections of the community.
Right.
Whereas like here, behind the building here, may not make sense, right? Or, in certain areas, but like in the manor, you could totally do automated collection.
So you'd have to draw the lines on where your
Right.
routes
Right.
would be, and hopefully they're contiguous.
Yeah, kind of like the leaf collection.
Right.
You could blow it out in the street, and other streets you can't.
You gotta
Yeah,
pay.
It is what it
Yeah,
is.
same
I
management.
got a bag.
Yeah.
I have to bag mine, so I'm bitter, but that's all right.
And I'm not gonna tell any of you about it, but.
I'm not bitter. I'm thinking about it. It's much easier if I could just blow this into the street like my neighbors.
You still have that twitch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're telling the second graders.
I am.
How many years ago did they start doing this? Was it this year, last year?
I think you said 10 years ago, right, guys?
Okay, 10 years ago, okay.
Yeah, it was a while.
I thought it was more recent, okay. Okay.
How are the leases working?
We didn't get into that with him. I know, I think Marty and I talked about trying to find like a broker or something.
Yeah, I'm very curious, like how long those are and like how long
Their
they're
one is,
running.
yeah, they have trucks 14, 16, 20, 23, and 26 is the age of their fleet. So
Okay, so yeah, they're rolling their fleet, huh?
They have one that's 26 years old.
No, 2026.
Oh, 22.
Yeah, yeah, 26, yeah.
I thought that too.
That's really
I'm
impressive.
leasing some old vehicles.
Yeah. City of Pittsburgh could probably make that claim.
He mentioned that, they don't break down that often with how they maintain they're not having to get new trucks.
I was wondering about the maintenance and leasing versus like the cost of owning and what that looks like.
The maintenance seemed like it was less of a deal than we thought it was going to be going in and talking to him about it.
But they have double. That's astonishing.
So that they also said that they use some sort of a contracted maintenance company. He recommended potentially insourcing that to save.
Yeah, we do, man.
Again, with volume, you can
But we
justify
don't have the room for that.
Yeah.
We already have,
Yeah.
I'll just speak to we already have a congested after adding a fire training facility.
Yeah,
And
over
the
there for
police
sure.
Yeah, I
firing
mean,
range.
it's a dedicated facility
Yeah.
somewhere that's gonna
Yes,
have to
yeah.
be built.
And with the landfills everywhere, because they have them out by the airport all the way towards Monroeville. you can find, like we're talking about on the real estate side, somewhere in the middle, they're driving anyway.
Right.
So why not park them
Oh,
there?
sure,
You know
that
what I
makes
mean?
sense, yeah.
Yeah, let it be downwind of another community.
So you were saying, just out of curiosity, you were saying about,
Smells like roses.
Does Mount Lebanon trash? Of course it does. Is how are they so you're saying that they're using existing public works staff, or it's part of their public works crew that's doing it?
16 guys on their public works crew. It seemed like they have a guy, set crew of guys, and if there's a call off, they sort of go based on, seems like the least seniority to get the next guy in the truck. That's how I remember the discussion.
I think they were recommending that you try not to have too much overlap because you don't want your, best plow driver necessarily getting the
trash, right.
short end of the stick and having to go
Right.
pick up garbage. So if you have the ability to mostly separate, that sounded like their recommendation.
Okay, and then who's managing them?
And the public works director,
Okay, so the public works director is also managing that side of it as well.
Separate managers are questioned, right?
Right.
Yeah. I still think I agree with that separate manager.
Right.
That way somebody can fight that battle or staffing, and that's all they dedicate to.
Right, because the public works director has a superintendent who handles the operations, right?
Yeah.
Like they handle the operation guys. It would be disingenuous not to think that you would need a manager for that 5-day a week operation, never stopping.
So like snow plows, which is infrequent, right? It's every week.
Yeah. Well, then you had, they they have the foremans and, the step downs.
So, and all the other stuff that comes with it, vehicle inspections, vehicle maintenance schedules, just that specifically. If it's leasing or buying a real estate to store the vehicles,
Maintenance.
Or waste management says you can't dump her anymore, okay, who's gonna figure out where we dump next? That director does.
You guys talk about technology at all? Or not really?
Not really, just basically the kind of trucks they had, really.
I think we went over our half hour we were offered. So we've got follow-up calls. I think we could probably set up another one.
Yeah, he's a super nice dude. Like, he texted me after and he was offering to chat again about any questions we had. So the line is definitely open if we have follow-ups for him.
And then Kevin, you were reading about Latrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to see what analysis they did to bring it in-house.
I'll reach out to them. Okay. Yeah, I came across an article, they effectively, January 1st, just 6 weeks ago, they started doing it themselves. And said, they had a 40% cost increase coming down the pike, and so they took it in. Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They'll call, they'll probably say they called this guy.
Ismail told me.
Yeah, he's like the regional expert.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that, a number of years ago, we called North Fayette, I want to say it was.
Okay,
They laughed at us. They're like, what are you thinking about doing?
well, the Republic's right there. I
But
mean,
they're like, they laughed. So it's interesting how it's kind of,
Yeah.
we're not.
It's amazing what a 40% increase is.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. That's
So,
right. Yeah.
Good luck trying to get that off the ground. And now it's like, okay, well, maybe you could get this off the ground.
Maybe we asked if Waste Management or Republic to come back to them, but I know they don't care that we left. They don't want our business. Right. They're happy we're going.
Well, they're still getting the trash fee.
Yeah, but there's.
Yeah, they're getting the dump fees, like,
Yeah,
they
dump
don't
fees.
care to
They don't
collect
care
it.
about the personnel part, they don't care about the truck, 8,000 homes.
And I guess as you mentioned about the last contract, we're a bit more cumbersome, being tighter streets, alleys. They might bid us in a do with a smile also.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, is
Yeah.
they prefer the easy places where they go in with their trucks.
Yeah.
One employee
Kind of workaround,
tips
so-
itself.
Yeah.
I think they mentioned they had a couple Republic or Waste Management guys on their
Yes.
payroll for trash collection.
Right.
Wow.
And particularly because they're maybe a little bit more of an attractive employer, because they're not sending them all over the place and switching where they're going.
Set route, yeah.
You're not bidding on it, because they bid on routes.
Right,
Right.
So Mount Lebanon's on the low man on the totem pole to bid that route for all these, from what we were told.
Oh.
That if you look at what they got in these contracts with the Shaycog contracts and so on and so forth at the shop, we were told that Mount Lebanon routes are low man on the totem pole. They don't want our routes,
Because they're paying the
because
bill.
they're paying the butt.
Yeah.
They're more work, they're more intensive, tighter streets, cars parked.
Maybe there's some certainty about having a you know, if they work for a Republican or Republican who's an account or two, they could be out of work, right? So there's that flip side.
No, 100% agree, but
Right, but this is a hard,
to that point, it's good, it's not the most attractive route if you are already in the business.
Yeah,
But if we pay and it's
Correct.
consistent, then sure we could poach people.
And benefits and all that stuff, like,
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to Pitcairn, come on.
Rankin.
Rankin, yeah.
Rankin's the one.
Rankin,
Because
yeah.
our turnover in our public works department's pretty low, right?
Overall,
Yeah,
in the municipality, it's pretty low.
It is.
which is,
Happy employees.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure we pay probably better than a lot of places and we have better benefits, but if you keep
Well, we're
the same
fair.
people, yeah,
I mean, those are negotiated contracts.
right.
We're fair.
But yeah, so this might be an attractive job, that's interesting.
And would you presumably renegotiate that contract if, you're doing trash collection then? How would that?
Well, it's this year,
Okay.
so.
Well, that might be the play too. We always talk about buying the trucks like you guys are saying. Maybe you do a 5-year lease to see if it works, and if it doesn't, then you don't have to offload 6 vehicles. The lease is end, you walk away, and then you go back to Republic or Waste Management and take a bid.
Yeah.
And if it does work, then buy it.
self-fit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When's it up? 26 or 27?
28.
28.
Yes, we're in year 3.
Okay.
We have 27 and 28 left.
Yeah.
So we've got to get moving on this thing.
Yeah, we
We're gonna
do.
be doing
Yeah,
anything, so.
Yep.
I'll reach out to Latrobe, see if they go pride. They had Republic, that's the article said, so they switched from Republic to doing it themselves.
Because I'd be interested to see what their analysis was, right?
Yeah.
So we're not reinventing or remissing anything when we
Right.
look at this and we deliver a report to the commission here in the next couple of months to say, hey, it may be worth looking at, really bringing in a consultant and firing away on this and
Right.
moving forward quickly.
Having two perspectives too. Someone who's been around for 10 years and worked out the kinks, and someone in modern, starting
Yeah.
fresh.
Right.
You get both perspectives.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that Jason was looking at last week and sort of stopped, was like the whole real estate thing, right? We talked about trucks and not being able to, that's sort of a big nut here with, the upfront cost of, we talk about trucks and leasing, but
Right.
the place to put them is probably a nut.
Well, and quite frankly, we're gonna have a tough time. We're probably gonna be buying used trucks to start.
Sure.
Or renting them until, that's what happened with Republic here 10 years ago. When they got the contract, they didn't have the new fleet in yet.
Right.
And I think on the real estate side, Jason talked about it, you'll be able to find a place, it just, well, like you said, under hush hush. There's tracts of land all up and down 79, that if we bought an acre and it was already tapped for water and everything else, we put up a big fence and put in a metal building, that might be cheaper than just buying something already there.
Right.
It's just keeping in mind which direction we want to go with the trucks to save on fuel and longevity.
Right.
So if we do dump in Monroeville, maybe our station somewhere out east will leave the trucks out, so not knowing that either.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And then as a municipality, you're tax exempt. So if we own the land,
Which
there's
is why
no,
we have to be hush hush.
yeah. No, because the municipality owning it, that's it. We don't have to pay property tax or school tax on the land we own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the other side of owning it. And if it doesn't work, we now have real estate we can offload, recover some of the money back from what we paid. And if it does work, then we'd all have ongoing costs of a lease. And a landlord that says, oh, you're doing good. You got 6 more trucks. Here's your new lease for double the price.
Right.
Where else are you gonna go?
Right.
Okay. So you'll talk to, see if we can get some
I'll reach out to
scheduled with
Latrobe, see
Latrobe.
what I can get from them.
And then we'll start gathering and putting this together.
Have your new MDX out
Start
there.
doing a shelfer report to the commission to see if they want it. Because
Like a
the
phone
charge
call.
was
I can phone call maybe.
to get to the commission, is it even feasible?
Right.
Or is it too out of the water, right? So I think we're narrowing it down to maybe it is feasible, but we'll have to run and finalize those numbers at a rough kind of back of the napkin type of thing before we refine. So, but a lot of things in play, for
I
sure.
know. Wow.
And it also doesn't mean to, I'm just throwing this out there as an idea, I'm not saying I've vetted this in any way, but it doesn't mean that we have, like, if we wanted to give ourselves some extension, that doesn't mean that we have to be in the Shaycog contract. Right, so, we could already negotiate for the next 2 to 3 years. We didn't, we could go out on our own,
As opposed to shake off, sure.
as opposed to shake on and being locked in for 5 more years. You know, I think we have a big enough area to do it. Now we have a dedicated fee to it, so we can also
Right.
make sure that we're covering that properly.
And from the commissioner's standpoint, what would the break even be on your guys' end to make it feasible? Like, cause the upfront costs, if you're like, hey, by year 2, we're ahead, or would you guys be
Well,
like
I
that?
don't think we've even thought that far ahead, to be
Okay.
really honest. I think it's just been, is it even feasible?
Okay.
We kind of, not kind of, I think we feel like we're a broker between the residents and the waste, or whoever does the garbage more than anything else, since we're not providing it. And we can't control how much it costs. That's one of the reasons we went to a fee as opposed to leaving it in taxes, was it, we can't control this. And in many places, which I never realized, because I've lived here for so many darn years, you have to contract by yourself
Yeah.
for garbage collection, which I found astonishing, like, wow. Yep,
Yep.
so,
You have 3 or 4 different haulers on the same
yeah,
street,
3 or 4 different haulers, yeah,
different days, and
yeah.
so.
But I mean, so I think at the end of the day, you know, for at least the initial costs of the vehicles and
Yeah.
everything, it seems like if it works, because once again, Swissvale did it and Latrobe's doing it.
Yeah.
It just, I would think that the selling point would be the break-even point, because there's gotta be upfront money for the trucks. Right. You know what I mean?
I
But-
wonder about the Swissvale model, though, if they're doing it at a loss, because that's not a particularly well-resourced place. And my mind started to churn as to if they were getting any state money or anything else to help them out, because Rankin, I mean, we're really talking about poor communities.
Yeah.
you
But,
know.
but if they're still getting charged, you know, $400 a household and they're doing it for $250, they're still $250 ahead of them paying $400 for their own
Well,
house.
sure, but I mean, if they're doing it at a loss, it's
The other
not very
200's come from somewhere.
sustainable. Yeah, it's, you
No,
know,
I agree, other communities.
Right, I mean, that's
So
the
I
thing,
mean,
right?
so for us, it's, I guess, until we find another community, it's kind of black and white.
Yeah.
Like, what are we paying every year and what's it gonna cost us to do it ourselves every year?
and Latrobe is older like we are, so there may be, you know, they may have to use different trucks for different routes.
They probably
Types
in
of
rural areas too, right? So that's the thing, they got a mix
They're
of
probably a lot more
urban
miles.
and
Yeah.
Yeah,
non-urban, right? I mean,
Yeah,
so that's
true.
gonna be a,
yeah,
It'll be interesting.
interesting.
Okay,
All right, we'll start putting that together.
next item would be new business, correct?
Yes.
Anyone have any new business? And there were no citizen comments because no citizens appeared. So I believe then we need a motion to adjourn. Second? All for adjourning.
See you, Marty.
All right.
The, good night,
Godspeed.
everyone.